Town Hall.
Hey everybody, welcome to Eden Town Hall number 32. This is Sunday, January 8th. I'm here with many passionate and talented Eden community members. The election just happened. The fifth Eden election just happened yesterday. So we've actually been here for the past hour and 45 minutes now discussing and recapping the election yesterday, as well as discussing many learnings from the election and some things that went well, some things that didn't go so well, and what we can do to improve and engineer the system better. There's been a lot of really great ideas, and we didn't start recording right away just because there was some more, I guess, personal stuff as we were discussing, and but we figured it's a good idea to start recording so we can share these. I want to especially welcome and congratulate Patrick and Nathan, two people who were elected as delegates, chief delegates rather. So congratulations, and I'm very stoked to see both of you guys as delegates. We also have lots of delegates here, I think, too. I know Lennie's a delegate, and just a lot of great community members overall too. There's some things we were talking about, we're improving the system and so forth, but we can get into it and see where we want to go. First, I want to just say hi to everybody. Thanks for watching. And Patrick, Nathan, is there anything that you guys would like to say to the community in the day after being elected? Or if not, then that's okay too.
I'm really more of a listener, especially in the early days of doing something. So I'd love to hear what Patrick has to say. Put you on the spot.
Cool. Sounds good. It looks like Patrick's actually muted right now. Patrick, we can't hear you.
You hear me?
Yep, we can hear you now.
Oh, I was thinking the same. Who will speak the first? And I was thinking about NS James to honor you. So first, thank you very much, everyone that have voted for us. That's a pleasure and an honor. And we will do our best. I think what I can say, I was not expecting to be elected. I was just going as normal election, thinking that I will do the best for the community and be a delegate level 1, or maybe nothing, but that's changed anything for me because I will do exactly what I have planned to do. I have some personal plan as a chief delegate, but I have also common goals that I want to see happening with my fellow chief delegates like NS James here, Joshua Seymour, and Joseph. I think we have something good to give into this term, and we have enough unit testing happening since the first election until now. We have some unit tests, and now we can take those unit tests and find the part that have to be improved into the processes. It's all about processes. We want to improve those processes to have the best experience possible. So that's what I am committed for. And also make bridges with Eden Fractal, because I see Eden Fractal really as a gateway to onboard a new Eden member, possibly. There we have already processes, and we can use those processes intelligently and make them maybe for Eden on EOS also. Find those processes together. I have not the answers. I am like a little bit like Nathan, bottom up. I want to see the rest of the community coming with their voice, and I am very in favor to include into the discussion not only the chief delegates, but also the delegate level 1 and the rest of the Eden member community that have not the chance to be elected as delegate level 1, but that have also a voice. So for me, that's a voice, a kind of voice, this Eden on EOS, and take the chance, give the chance to anyone, for everyone, to raise his voice. We have intelligent people here, and we are humans after all. and we have to work together and join the force. That's what I want to see. I will give the mic to my NS James, the only one.
Excellent. Thank you, Patrick.
I really said exactly what I want to. I'm just here to listen to start with. Like you mentioned before, I'm very bottom up oriented, and I wouldn't fathom to make decisions for Eden, especially as such a new member of Eden. I'm really interested in just finding what it is that makes up Eden in the hearts of everybody who contributes, because there's a lot of passion here. We just started recording, but I don't want to really bring back some of the stuff that was talked about before, but a lot of people have made a lot of contributions to Eden, and it's sad to see those contributions go unnoticed. And everybody does it under the same vein. Everybody wants to help Yas. Everybody wants to help Eden, whether they do it in a way that other people agree with, it doesn't really matter. But underneath all of that, I want to find what that golden thread is that everybody really wants to hang on to, and make sure that that gets brought to the front and really helps bring new people in and people rally around.
Lovely prose, Nathan. Just curious, in the intention of bottom up and listening to make changes within Eden, do you have any sort of thoughts on how you'll achieve that, and how how do you measure sufficient engagement from quote unquote Eden to then base decisions upon? I think that's one of the biggest challenges we've had, right? Is how do you get engagement to then base a decision, and then what is sufficient engagement? What's the quorum to make a decision, I guess?
So first, I want to say that I don't want to make any changes in Eden. I don't think that that's really the point right now. In order to, when identifying the quote unquote why of Eden, no changes are required, right? It just takes that thing that already exists and clarifies it. That doesn't mean that we have to make any changes to make that happen. The other question that you asked is actually a ridiculously good one. It's something that I've been thinking about for the past 24 hours, right? Because it's really hard, even with all the frameworks that I know of, to reach that reasoning and reach the why and all of that. It's really hard to put it into, or to apply it to a group like Eden, which isn't created like most other groups, especially with the quote unquote founder of Eden no longer being here or even caring or like participating at all. It leaves a big gap in what Eden was created for versus what it is now, and what people think that it was created for versus what they think it is now. So there's a lot of different things that you have to take into account. How we actually go about that, I think that we're actually probably going to use on-chain tools. There's that Consortium app, which somebody posted in the chat the other day, which is fantastic, and I'd love to do as much as possible on chain. I'm not sure if, like you mentioned, that's sufficient in terms of getting people on board, because I looked at the last ones that really had 23, 25 people participation versus the amount of people that we actually saw in the election. So if we can't at least, I guess, reach the amount of people that we saw in the election, then that might not be great. But again, we're not trying to redefine something here. We're not trying to supplant some kind of idea from outside onto Eden. We're just trying to find out what is underlying everybody's different perspectives under Eden. The same, like if you wanted to build something on Eden and somebody else wanted to build something which is completely different, there is something underneath both of those which is the same. There has to be, or you wouldn't be in Eden, you'd be in some other place trying to do something else entirely, or what you're doing in another location. So there has to be something which correlates between both parties or all parties.
Yeah, I very much agree. Thank you for the question, Chris, and thank you, Nathan, for your thoughts and answer, and then also for the introductions, Nathan and Patrick too. That's one of the reasons why I was really excited to see Nathan join the Eden community lately, and also share his thoughts a lot in the Eden elections, and then become a chief delegate, because I think that Nathan can help greatly in defining these systems and using these tools to better cooperate. He comes with great experience with Scatter and many other great projects. And yeah, just to summarize it, so one of the main topics that we've been discussing is how to improve Eden from where we're at right now. Then there were some ways in which we can certainly make better experience, both in the election yesterday and then also just the overall culture of Eden. In many ways, has been amazing, and people have brought it together and had amazing friendships and helpful collaborations and so forth. But there's also situations where people aren't having a great time. People are attacking each other or saying things that aren't nice and aren't rude, or are rude, and that's not the kind of culture that we want to create if people aren't enjoying it. We want to create a culture and an environment where it's really fun and people understand like the expectations and understand how to cooperate best. And one of the ways we can do that, well, there's many different ways. So Nathan mentioned using these different tools like Consortium. Patrick and myself, many people have worked a lot with Vlad, and I agree. Consortium is a really helpful tool, and doing more of these things on the EOS blockchain brings a lot of huge benefits. Also briefly recap too, a couple of the points that were mentioned before we start recording. So Lennie and Nathan both mentioned the kind of sparsity or lack of information in the bylaws, and how Eden, it's not a finished product yet. And there's a lot of things that a lot of community members want and expect, but aren't clearly defined in the bylaws or anywhere really for that matter, except for the Telegram chat. So we need to do a better job of writing the things in the bylaws and communicating better to help people understand what will be helpful for the community and how to best act. Felix also mentioned before about how moderation can help in the rooms, and also about being able to have accountability too during the rooms. And Reiki and Chris and Jesse over the past few days have mentioned the idea of membranes as well. In the chat, actually, Mo was writing about the Eden NFT reputation system circle, which is doing great work. Mo's doing great work with Setsheet, and Jesse and Lovejoy and people from the Dania team are doing really helpful work there. So thanks so much, Mo. And currently they don't have funding, but this is, I think, another example of a really helpful system and tool where we can improve the cooperation in Eden. And like perhaps there's an idea I mentioned briefly that Chris and Jesse and Reiki mentioned, which I think is a great idea, about kind of membranes, like having some qualifications where people can participate. And I think Eden Fractal can play a big role in that as well. A couple people mentioned that earlier. I'm just trying to provide a little bit of an overview here for anybody who was listening but didn't hear. But yeah, there's so many different ideas that are it's great to see it circulating. It's great to see that we're learning from this recent election, but definitely things that I'm thankful for everybody for joining here, having this great conversation, and all the great work that people are doing in the community overall and joining up and showing at the election, because we have a lot of work to do to improve our systems. With that, that was a bit of a long tangent, so apologies if I get over-inspired sometimes. But yeah, I see Patrick is unmuted. Do you have any thoughts about that? Or I would love to hear also from Gabriel, Joran, Mo, Lennie, Evgeny, Lisa, CAC, Felix, Kassy, and Chris. If anybody else has any thoughts too, feel free to share your thoughts. We'd love to hear them. And I suppose we could also, if anybody has thoughts and lots of people start talking, we can raise their hands. But if anyone wants to jump in here, then feel free. Patrick?
Yeah, we arrived to some, not say conclusion, but some improvements already. For example, one of them is the bylaws. The bylaws currently, if you see the Eden Korea by Max Shaw, the bylaws are on chain. Here into the Eden Genesis 1, if we can say like that, the bylaws are not on chain. And that's a good point that we addressed in my room with Zach Goal and Javier. We stated, not only us, also other people stating, yeah, that could be cool if we have the bylaws on chain. The bylaws have to be very obvious, clear, written, not in low terms, but in layman terms that everyone can understand. That's very important, and on chain to avoid the contention problems later on. You have never stated that. We have never said that. If it is on chain, that's like a radio station. You cannot say later on that was never stated. So that should be on chain. That's not should be, that has to be on chain, the bylaws. And what the goal of the bylaws is, it's a workaround when you cannot change something in the smart contract of Eden. because you don't want to put too much friction into the smart contract, and you want not to change something into the smart contract. You write that as a workaround into the bylaws. That's also the goal of the bylaws. So that's the first point. The second point also is now into the pot of this Eden election, term 5, and maybe on term 6 and so on, we will have more and more funds. And that's important that the delegate level 1 are claiming their funds. If they are not claiming their funds during this term 5, the funds that were not claimed during this term 5 will be injected again into the treasury. That's very important. Like this, we have the funds back into the treasury, and we have already some funds if they are not used by the delegate level 1. That's very important. And also to use the EAS of Edenia, the Eden account system, that's the Spend Explorer. That's released, that works. Everyone can go there and put his expense, explain what he do with the funds. So that's very important to use the Spend Explorer, also to justify or testify what you want to do with the funds at the beginning of the season, and then at the end of the season we have a tool to go. This is on chain, this is on the EOS mainnet, the EAS, and we can check. It's all about check. And about the consortium, it's very a system of binary, very open binary. You can just say yes, no, or you can choose between different options. There are not so much possible text. You cannot put your reasoning onto this onto this consortium. So there is also the BBS that you know very well, Dan. We have the BBS with dweb.io, Eyal Herzog, co-founder of the Bancor network. He has created the BBS dweb.io, and you have yourself for the Eden Fractal, open Eden Fractal BBS. Why not to open Eden on EOS BBS, where the people, like in a forum, can let their voice heard, and that's a forum. That's more the place to engage and to discuss between the different layer of Eden, the Chief Delegates, the delegate level 1, and the bottom of the layers. Like this, we have a platform, and it is totally on the EOS mainnet. So what else? What else? So to consider. I don't want to make any decision, but discuss that with my fellow chief delegates. That's what I want to do with Nathan and Joshua and Joseph. That will be that. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much, Patrick. And I should have also mentioned before, but in addition to Nathan and Patrick, also Joshua Seymour and Joseph from, I believe he's from the EOS X and the EOS Asia team as well. It's the first time I've been hearing about Joseph, or I've heard about him a little bit, but they both became chief delegates as well. So Patrick and Nathan will be serving alongside them. And I'm looking forward to hearing all the discussions. I see Lennie has his hands up, but I'll just share a couple of quick comments first. So one, thank you, Patrick, for mentioning all these tools. Edenia has been doing great work on the Spend Explorer and checking that out. They've made really awesome progress that's come recently. Also, the BBS as well. I think it could be a really helpful tool that the EOS community isn't taking advantage of very much yet, but it's a very functional and helpful app in many ways. Lots of features integrated with EOS, and I did create like a basic version of edentalk.com. We could also do a different name or a different brand, but that's intended to be for the Eden community as a whole, not just the Eden Fractal. So perhaps that can be helpful, and I hope it can. And I'm looking forward to exploring how we can use that more. And I think one thing that's helpful to think about here is these problems that we're seeing, and potential for improvement. It becomes much more important as the stakes increase, and also the potential for people with different interests to want to do different things. Some things that people might classify as attacks. So it's really helpful that we're considering these things now, and it's important because it's going to become more relevant as the stakes increase and as the community grows and so forth. There's some comments in the chat. Jerome was talking about how the bylaws are not on chain yet and how there's no UI for the website. And so, yeah, there's definitely some technical improvements that we should make for the bylaws. And I agree with what Patrick was saying about putting that on chain. Definitely. Nathan also wrote in the chat, bylaws should go on chain immediately. It will be hard in the future to know what bylaws inductees are agreeing to without being on chain. I completely agree with that as well. So thank you for sharing that insight. And yeah, I have some more thoughts here, but I'll pass it on to Lennie, and then I'll share some more thoughts later. And if anybody else has any thoughts too, would love to hear from it. Lennie, what do you think?
Yeah, I just wanted the clarification because I've heard Patrick twice state that now, end of term, money goes back similarly. And I just wonder, was that a decision? I know it was discussed at length, and I'm not arguing against that policy, but I just, whoa, flabbergasted twice. I heard it stated that that is a fact. Is that a decision taken by CDs at some stage? I have never heard it yet, but it's been decided so. Just a clarification, that's all.
Former chief delegate on Tom 4 as stated into the Eden member private group. I can give you the link or you can search. He has stated that the funds have to go back to the treasury if they are not claimed, because otherwise they stay into the Eden smart contract indefinitely. They are never going outside, let's say outside. They are never transferred back to something. And this something should be the treasury. Now, as the funds to go back to the treasury at the end of the term, maybe not. Maybe on 3 terms. So we have to define what is the best time to transfer back the funds to the treasury. Maybe at the end of a term, or maybe wait different term, because you cannot ask from a delegate level 1 maybe to use all his funds during 1 term, because he has a long-term plan to do something intelligent and wise with his funds. So that will be, let's say, guerrilla, a little bit guerrilla, to send back automatically the funds to the treasury after the end of the start of a new term.
It's all clear, Patrick, it's all clear. Just when you expressed it earlier twice, it sounded like it was already confirmed, but I totally agree with that. It's a matter of deciding when. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, the matter is when. The matter is when. Thank you, Lennie.
Yeah, thanks for the clarification. And I'm looking forward to hearing more about that from the chief delegates and from the community, and lots of interesting discussions. I also want to welcome Martin as well. Thanks for joining, Martin. It's great to see you here. And I really appreciate all your work with Eden, and also, of course, eosnation.gems. Also, from what I heard, you and Lennie and Marco had quite an interesting room yesterday too. So yeah, I hope you're doing well, and we'd love to hear from you if you want to share. But of course, if you want to just listen too, then that's cool. And if nobody has any other comments here, one thing that I would like to bring it back to, which I think is perhaps, I mean, I think it's a good discussion topic, and it's perhaps really important. Chris asked a great question in the beginning to Nathan about like, what is the consensus to make changes to Eden? And currently,
threshold.
Yes. So there's the quorum, there's a threshold to make changes. And currently, formally within the Eden on EOS election system, there is a threshold that's defined as 2/3 plus 1 chief delegates. And this is very helpful in many ways. And obviously it's taken us this far, but there's been a lot of talk about like making lots of different improvements. And it's difficult when, say, I don't know, say if 60% of the community feels one way and 40% of the other, feels the other way, and then there's 3 out of 4 chief delegates that want to do one way. Like it's just a little bit fuzzy and hazy. And I do think that it's a helpful to consider these quorums and these thresholds and how to make decisions better and how to communicate better. A lot of our messages and a lot of our considerations have been in the Telegram chat, which is not the most efficient way to do it. So I'm excited for more topics in Telegram chats, and I think also having more conversations like these. And I think what Mo is doing with the reputation system, I see it as hands up now, can be really helpful for that, in addition to Consortium, in addition to the processes that we're doing with Eden Fractal and the tools that we mentioned, like BBS and so forth. I'm just putting this out there just kind of generally right now. We can go into more specifics later, but just maybe to spark and inspire some thought about how we can improve our systems of consensus and define that better to be able to make changes faster, because I think that having it once every 3 months you can make changes is great and in many ways, but we want to have processes to also like identify consensus better. That's something that Reiki's been bringing a lot of value, and the previous chief delegates did too. But anyway, I'll pass it on to Mo now. Mo, what do you think?
Yeah, Dan, thanks for bringing it back to that. When Chris brought up the subject of thresholds and quorum, it sparked a question also in my mind, and I wanted to add a little bit of more context to the discussion. Based on what I've counted so far, we have 119 members that participated in the election yesterday. There's 489 people in Eden now. Having that in mind, in that context, define the thresholds and the quorums and how you're going to achieve significant participation where you can claim a legitimate outcome. One other thing also, I brought up to Joshua on the Telegram channel, that may be something for the chief delegates to consider, forming a circle and having people who are involved in that circle be the ones that add also a little bit more to, because I think his main source of deriving a conclusion from the opinions of the public is going to be through leveraging the groups that he participated in and that elected him through the election. I brought up the suggestion that maybe also form a circle and have community members that not only participated in the election yesterday, but maybe also others that maybe didn't make it. So then it adds a little bit more participation to the or more buy-in to the final conclusion, whatever thresholds you guys decide are enough. But keeping in mind that 120 people participated yesterday, we have nearly 500 people in Eden. What are the thresholds? I'll leave that up to you guys.
Thank you, Mo. I see that Nathan just unmuted. Do you have thoughts about this, Nathan?
Yeah, so it's a very interesting point. What is the threshold of consensus? We've seen varying results on polls in Telegram, and I think Telegram is really the easiest for people to participate in. Like if you have to go to Consortium and then sign with Anchor and go through that whole process, it's obviously going to lower participation just by the nature of click-through rates. But the low results on the polls is interesting to me, especially with such a high turnout for the election. I do also think that there are definitely people who couldn't make the election. I almost didn't make the election yesterday just because it's like 3 o'clock on a Saturday, and I was with my kids. But for some stuff, I'm not sure. So it'll be varying between what we're trying to come to consensus over. If we're trying to come to consensus over something like what's the underlying thread between all things that people are doing on Eden, it's not really a decision that's being made. It's a discovery process of something that already exists, so that you don't really need that much consensus there. It's just stories from people in order to discover what common theme they share. So 10 stories would make little difference between 30 stories, just statistically. But if there is something like right now in the chat, it's being discussed, should a member be banned if a threat of physical violence is given? That is definitely something that I as a CD wouldn't want to make a decision of. I would like to bring it to the group of Eden to see what they think, if that should become a bylaw or become a rule or restriction or whatever it might be. And that does need to have some kind of threshold. So perhaps that should meet a higher threshold. In the same way on EOS, we have, the different levels of EOSIO prod requirements. So you have EOSIO major, EOSIO or prods major, prods minor, because they serve different purposes. So perhaps we need to define different thresholds for different types of questions, ones that require high thresholds, such as should members be revoked based on a bylaw, or ones with lower thresholds, such as what do we think the purpose or the underlying motivation of Eden is.
Yeah, Great points, Nathan. I completely agree and appreciate you sharing them. A couple of thoughts that were just inspired for what you said. One, I do think that there's possible that it could become more appealing to use a tool like Consortium than Telegram. I agree that right now Telegram is much easier, but we also have the power of incentivization with EOS 2. So potentially we could have incentives for people to share their opinions. That is indeed providing to the public good for the community, sharing your opinions if they're well thought out and they're by valued community members. So that being that it's a contribution to the public good, it makes sense to make that a loop where people get rewarded for contributing to the public good.
You mean like
And
even rewards? Like no matter what answer you answer, you're still going to get the same reward, right?
potentially, I mean, I think there's also, I've been thinking of a consortium for a long time, and I think there's potential for maybe some sort of like prediction market there. Like if you're able to correctly correctly vote for what the community will want and you're able to lead with that, then maybe you can get more rewards. Maybe there's also rewards for polls that get lots of votes as well. I actually made a consortium pollathon graphic and the plan last year or 2 years ago because I was trying to inspire people to use consortium more. So if people can make polls that get lots of votes that really inspire the community to come and vote, then that could be helpful too. I know the prediction market that needs more thought and potential for gaming too, but I think there is some sort of potential there for rewarding people for providing good signals to the community. And then in addition to, it also goes back to like reputation too. So that could be potentially be something that people get NFTs for or SBTs like Mo is working on. Maybe if people are providing a lot of helpful opinions and they get some sort of reputation token, and then community members can see that token when they're making their voting decisions, or also people can earn more respect if they join an Eden Fractal meeting and they said how they participated in a bunch of polls and how they made some helpful polls, and then people could see that and people could be somehow rewarded for that. So that might be an option there, in addition to also just making UI improvements to making it generally easier to be able to use voting tools like Consortium as well, so we can bring it on the same ease of use as a tool like Telegram.
I do like the idea. So obviously, there's probably more participation in elections because there's some gain there, monetary gain, right? So that could definitely be one explanation to why we see less participation in polls on Telegram, even though polls are infinitely easier than spending an hour in an election, right? So I really always love the idea of gamification, incentivization. Just, you know, it hits certain things in people's minds and the chemistry of our brains, which makes it easier for people to make decisions. I do also like the incentivization for no matter what you choose, because if you're there for a buck, it doesn't matter, but you're probably going to participate well. You're not just going to select you know, the first option on the list, and of course those options can be randomized anyway. So most people, when they are presented with that opportunity, will still put in the time to read a short question and answer a short answer, if it's as long as it's something like, you know, I don't know what it's called in America, but here we call it American testing, with like the dots, the 3 choices and stuff like that, basically poll options. So as long as it's something that's short and simple and sweet like that, I think it'll get a lot of engagement. If it's something like I have to type out an answer, or I have to move, you know, things from here to there, if I have to actually participate in any meaningful, long-tailed way, it's probably going to drop off a lot. Just the human nature of using web applications. But I think that that's a very good direction for us to start going.
There's a really simple answer as to why there won't be as much engagement compared to membership totals and then those who show up in election. It's the number of people who participate in this election strictly to be a proxy. So they've done their job. They don't have to pay any attention now. They hey, come join the election, do what I say to do as my proxy. You're my pal, you do it, and they walk away, they're done. So don't expect engagement from those folks in pools.
That's fine. But what was the participation in the last election? It was like 100 something, wasn't it? 81?
82 signed in, or 86, I think, opted in, and 62 participated based on vote count. That doesn't include people with technical issues, however, so it was slightly higher than that.
And then this time it was how many that actually voted?
I think I heard 120 something. I don't know. I haven't done the numbers this time to look, but
okay, so roughly double, let's say, just for
yep,
for rough sake.
Yep.
Okay, so I mean, better to take an average of, or a median even, of the past elections. I would even exclude the current election always, just because I think that it's too rough of a number for us to take into the median as a long-term statistic. I mean, you do the same. You wouldn't include today's number in the analytics over a period of time, and then that could be the basis for the thresholds.
Okay, well, yeah, good ideas and good question. Thank you, Chris. And yeah, I agree. I think Nathan made a great point about introducing gamification, and then also just all these things we're talking about defining these things better and coming to consensus about the best way to make these work. A couple of things here. One, I just want to make a note of the time. Some of us have been on for almost 2.5 hours now, and some of us have been on for an hour or two. So I want to be respectful. If anybody has to go, then feel free to do so. And we could also wrap up the recording at any point too. I'm happy to keep it going too if everybody has more thoughts and so forth. But just want to make that note and put it out there. And then also, I think Patrick, you private messaged me saying that you might have something you want to share. If you want to share some thoughts here, then that would be cool. Although you're muted, so we can't hear you.
You hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I just want to put into the chat here, you can make a copy paste into your notepad or Excel, that's totally egal, doesn't matter. I will put here something.
Okay, and while you're finding that, Patrick, I want to mention too, you mentioned a bunch of great tools before, but actually one tool that we forgot to mention, or that you were not mentioning out of just being humble, is Mindweb. And recently I saw that you are making some integrations with Consortium
That's
too.
exactly that I am sharing now.
Okay, cool.
I have changed you can copy paste that into your notepad and read that carefully later on. But just to explain basically the thing, until now, to send the links to the Mindweb Eden dashboard, the people should go on a web form and send their links to the mind map. Now I have made directly that you can use this URL, this link that I have put into the chat here, and you can replace where it is written link equal, you put your link and you can send directly links to the Mindweb Eden dashboard, because on this term, and not only on this term, but for the next terms, the goal is to have a Mindweb Eden dashboard that is like a knowledge base and that is always growing. So the goal is that the people can send their link direct to the mind map without to go with a UI web form. And this link will be used by, for example, Vlad of Consortium, or the next iteration of Consortium, because they are developing something else now. They can send directly the links to the mind map, Mindweb, directly from the tool, from their tool. And I am using, for example, this link. So this link, as a normal user, you can also use. So put that into your document portfolio, and very useful, because here you see we have a circle equal Eden Onios and mind map equal Eden dashboard. And I work always in circle, because the concept of circle is very important. If we have circle into Eden Onios, and we have also circles outside of Eden Onios, we have also circles. If we collaborate between the circle, that's a very powerful, and the mind mapping help for that. So that's what I want to see more, the people here into Eden Onios. When you have a link, the new legend, you have a new link, or something popping in your mind, or more, you have a new link, or anyone has a new link, send the link to this URL. Like this, the mind map will expand, and that's the goal, to create a knowledge base. I was committed to do so, not only for Eden Onios, also for Eden Fractal, and for other ecosystems. So that's the point that I would share with you guys at this point. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Patrick. I'm really excited about this improvement. I mean, we've worked together on a lot of the Eden things, and I've been a big fan of the mind map that I've expressed many times, but I think this is a big improvement, having it simpler for people to submit. That's something I found a little bit non-intuitive before, and I think also the collaboration and integration with Consortium is really helpful too, because then it's on-chain. There's many benefits of Consortium, and having it where you can post in one place and have it both with the power of Consortium and then also with the power of Mindwebs. They both bring unique and helpful features. So thank you for that, Patrick. And perhaps I'll show the screen. I also see Felix got to head out, guys. Great seeing everyone again. And thank you, Felix. Great seeing you. And yeah, so I actually have a couple windows on my screen that I can briefly show to recap the recent election and show the mind map. So maybe I'll show that briefly. But once again, if anybody here, we have a lot of listeners who are more active in the conversation before we start recording. But if anybody wants to speak up and share some thoughts, that's cool. Perhaps we'll wrap it up in the next, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes or so, just to keep it brief, keep it fairly brief. But Patrick, I see that you're making hand motions and thinking. There's some thoughts you want to share here, Patrick?
To remember the people to join the Eden Fractal meetings. That's on the Wednesday at 16 UTC. We are here with Dancing Joyce since July. We have begun the Eden Fractal meetings. That's very well crafted. We have a moderator system included. We have Kajendas, Vlalendas, Agendas system, and made by Tadas Veitikunas, a fantastic developer, engineer. We have Vlad also for the React app to send the result of the consensus on chain. So we have a lot of tools there that could benefit Eden Onios for sure. And I see really the Eden Fractal like a getaway, as I mentioned earlier, to possibly onboard more people into Eden. So we have that on the Wednesday. And soon on the Tuesday, that's every 2 weeks, we have the brainstorming session where we, thanks to the mind map, where we brainstorm together and we dive into the complexity of proposals, complex proposals. So I think the brainstorming is also a tool very welcome when we have to think about where we don't know anything about anything and we have to figure out what is the goal of something. Brainstorming is also a good tool. Just to remind here. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Patrick. I encourage everybody who's here or watching to join both the Eden Fractal meetings and the brainstorming sessions. Eden Fractal meetings are Wednesdays at 15:30 UTC. Everyone's welcome to join. And the brainstorming sessions are starting next week, going to be every other Tuesday at 16 UTC as well, I believe. And yeah, I'm excited to speak more with the community because I think that Eden Fractal and the tools that Eden Fractal is building can be really helpful for the Eden community as well as all communities. So I encourage everybody to join. I'm happy to discuss this more in the future and many more discussions.
I forget to mention that I have the Chief Delegate interviews as always. I will not mention exactly when, how, and etc. Just to say that I respect every term. I interview the Chief Delegates. So I do that. And for myself, because I cannot interview myself, Stephane Bisson offered to interview me. So you will have a video of every Chief Delegate that I accept to play the game and that have the time to do so. It's not mandatory. There is not a torture. That's a straight to the point video. It's about 25 minutes. With 3 questions straight to the point by Nova Crypto here, your servitor. And I will do this video with a lot of pleasure. So stay tuned for that. And January 23rd, you will have the first workshop of the season, Antelope Swiss workshop, number 18, starting the 4th season, January 23rd. And on the same day, January 23rd, we have the 16th workshop with Maurice Vanegas, UFI movement. So that's the plan. And I don't know how I will do. Maybe I will delegate some of my tasks to Dancing Joy.
Sounds good, Patrick. I'm happy to help however I can. And yeah, thank you for announcing that. And thanks again, Patrick, so much for all the great work with the Antelope workshops and then the Eden interviews as well, the chief delegates. I'm really looking forward to your interview with Nathan as well as with Joshua and Joe. And then, yeah, I'm also, I guess I'm breaking, I guess I'm blanking out because there's something else I meant to say there, but I'm really looking forward to that. Oh yeah, the thing I was going to say is I'm looking forward to your interview with Stephane as well. I was wondering if Pat Overjoy was going to interview Patrick, but I'm glad to see that Stephane will be on there.
I would have liked to see that.
Right. I've seen a little bit here and there. Patrick, you're muted again. I don't know what's going on.
Do you hear me?
Yeah.
How can I forget that? We have an Eden Fractal update number 4 with you, Dan, and with
Yes.
Tadas Veiticunas, I think. We will do that again. Let's do that. An Eden Fractal update number 4, straight to the point, time-stamped video. Don't waste your time, go directly to the chapter, and you will understand what is Eden Fractal current iteration. That's very powerful, this Eden Fractal. I love it. And a lot of pleasure to continue. And Nathan James, welcome into Eden Fractal. I think I see you very burning. Okay.
One thing at a time.
Absolutely. Yeah, baby.
Yeah, Nathan's been joining a lot lately. I imagine Nathan's experience joining Eden has been quite an experience over the past few weeks here. So
I'll tell you what I told Brandon. I had no intention of getting elected. I came in there purely just to participate, and then ended up getting elected. And then Brandon was like, "Oh, you know, there's like weekly meetings," and I was like, "Oh." And then I looked at my schedule and felt a daunting feeling of panic because my schedule is already hilarious to people within the ENF. They're like, "You have nothing on your schedule. You have no time on your schedule for us to meet with you. Like, how are you supposed to?" So it was definitely a moment of panic. So I'm trying to find ways to shift things around, and it's good. I like to clean up my schedule every now and then, take off meetings.
You know what, Nathan? That's beautiful because that's all pure art. You were not doing the things with a plan in mind. That's come like normal. The same for me. So very happy when the things are coming from the heart. Then you are going to the soul and to the mind, and the things are going beautiful. So I think, Dan, as always, we have to wrap it up on something always fun here.
yeah, but before we do that, though, I just want to show a couple of things. It'll just be a couple minutes. I'll be quick. One, I'll just say to Nathan, I completely appreciate having lots of things on your schedule. So I'm really appreciative of you doing everything you're doing in the community. You're of course welcome to join the meetings whenever you can, and that'd be great. But
Sundays are fantastic. I work Sundays, but nobody else does. So those are the best days.
Okay,
yeah.
cool. We also do these town halls too every Sunday at 16 UTC as well. So you're always welcome, and your insights are always appreciated too. Sounds great. And then Patrick, I was going to show a couple of things real quick here that we just talked about. I think it'd be helpful to show a little thing. I know we've been on for a long time, so I'll be very quick and feel free to jump in. Is there anything you want to say before I share it, Patrick, or should I start sharing it now?
Let's do this.
Okay, cool. Sounds good. So I'm just going to share my screen. Just one thing I want to show, which I think is awesome. Patrick was talking about the mind maps and also the interviews with chief delegates. Patrick there's several great mind maps. So I don't know if I picked the right one. I just found it quickly, but you can check out this mind map with the Eden on EOS mind map. Is also the Eden Fractal, where you can see all of Patrick's past interviews with chief delegates, as well as lots of other helpful resources at Eden and so forth. And each of these can expand and so forth too. So it's really cool to see and dig into these. You can see all the prior interviews Patrick's done. So providing an incredibly helpful service. And I'm looking forward to seeing more of the development with both the interviews and also the mind map interview improvements and integrations you're making. Another thing I wanted to mention too, you mentioned the Eden Fractal. So we do have this new process with the Eden plus Fractal process created by Tadas, and then also the 2 new proposals for moderator guidelines and for Kajenda's games. So I put out a suite a couple weeks ago. We're using these new processes, and everybody can make proposals on Consortium now for topics. So last week, Gabriel came and he made a proposal for a topic for using sociocratic method when we're deliberating proposals, which is really helpful. In the past 2 weeks, Vlad's the developer of Consortium and CTF, he shared proposals for the mission of Eden Fractal, which I think can also be helpful, these kinds of discussions and moderate discussions for the Eden on EOS and larger community as well. So just wanted to share these briefly. People can check these out on the Eden Creators Twitter account if people want to learn more about what we're doing here. And then I've also been starting to curate at edenfractal.com/28/29 and so forth as we do different meetings. So you can see, watch the full meeting, watch the show notes and the timestamps, and you can jump around. And I've also been starting to curate some of the proposals, like for example, in week 28, curated the brainstorming session that we had that Patrick hosted, as well as the proposals that Tadas made for how we moderate these breakout rooms and so forth. So people can check out edenfractal.com for this, and I'm looking forward to discussing more about how these can help the Eden community. And then also I just want to show the upcoming elections coming up on April 8th. It was great to see all the people, just all the great passion, enthusiasm, all the great work this Eden election. And so far, there's already 21 people who have participated here. You can sign up starting now or starting yesterday. And I'm looking forward very much to that election, but I'm not looking forward too fast because I'm looking forward to seeing what Nathan and Patrick and Joshua and everybody do in this season. People can also check out genesis.eden.eoscommunity.org/election/stats. Hopefully that URL becomes shorter at some point, where they can watch videos and see everybody who is elected. You can go click on the blue little circle play button here to see the videos. I've already watched a couple of them and they're really exciting and really helpful to learn from all the great community members from both round 1 and 2. And also we talked a little bit before about the Political Playoff children's book that Kassy wrote before, which I also helped a bit along with Chris and Dennis. So you can check this out at edenelections.com/Eden educational materials. It's really cool to help educate people, especially young people, about the benefits of Eden and how we can work together with political playoffs and upvote systems and so forth. So yeah, I don't want to be too long, but I did just want to show everybody who is watching a bit of what we've been talking about, so people have a little bit of a visual understanding and can see all these cool things. I see some messages in the chat. CAC said, when will Eden Fractal move to the weekend or add another meeting on the weekend? I don't know. That's something that we now have a system to address proposals like that. So anybody can make a proposal on Consortium, and then whichever proposals get more votes from community members are discussed, and then the delegates who are elected each week in the Eden Fractal meeting can make decisions like that. So if anybody's interested in doing so, then they can make proposals. I think it's a great idea to have a meeting on the weekend, but there's also a lot of other priorities. And we have this town hall too. I would love to have some incentives with this town hall too. Maybe we can turn this into some sort of having some consensus game too as well. So I'm definitely looking forward to exploring that. Yeah, Patrick said if the council delegates of Eden approve, why not? That's exactly how we changed the time last time. We changed it a couple months ago. And yeah, there's lots more comments here, but I'll just say thank you, CAC. I really appreciate the work that you're doing in the community and hope that you will to attend. I hope that we can find some meetings on these weekends. And by the way, the proposals do get deleted from Consortium. Currently, the method is that proposals get deleted every week. So if you want to make a proposal for the next week, then you need to resubmit it during that week. So if your proposal doesn't get discussed during that week, so far, the proposals, we've only really discussed 3 proposals because over the past 3 weeks, because each one has taken a full hour. But if it doesn't get discussed, I made several proposals that got deleted too. So if you want something to be discussed, then you might have to either promote it to inspire people to vote for it so it gets discussed, or just resubmit it several times, and at some point we'll get to it. And then how can a talker talk about your proposals if you can't make a meeting? You can share it in the Discord chat or the Telegram chat, t.me/EdenFractal, or just in the general Eden chats too. I would love to see more communication about how these processes can help Eden in the Eden chats. So you can share it there, and then of course you can share it here too. I'm sharing these videos on the Eden Creators YouTube channel, and I'd love to also make clips too. I only have so much resources to make clips and time, but I would love to help produce clips if anybody has proposals for how Eden can do it better. So we'll have to be a bit creative in how we do it, but there's lots of venues, and I hope that we can work out something that you enjoy and can participate, CAC. And then, yeah, also, I don't know if anybody has any more thoughts here. I know we've been trying to wrap it up for a while, but I wanted to say I really appreciate everybody for sharing your thoughts. Thanks again, Patrick and Nathan. And I'm really happy that you guys are chief delegates. And thank you so much, everybody. It's been very exciting time, and we're learning together, and there's so much more to say, but I appreciate it, and I'll leave it at that. Thank you, everybody. I see some thank you and hearts and so forth. So thanks everybody. CSC. Also, these softwares are open source. CSC mentioned might have to start your own fractal. So that's also something we can do too. We mentioned the ideas of potentially forking and so forth. So thank you everybody. Thank you Patrick. Thank you Mo. And yeah, I suppose Patrick, you were saying we can wrap it up with something fun. Does anybody have any last comments or last words you want to share before we wrap it up? Once again, Patrick, you're muted. Still muted. Now you're not muted with Zoom, but I think you have a second mute function.
So, yeah. Okay. So do you hear me?
Yes, I hear you. I'll just briefly respond. Lisa wrote in the chat, please share order form to set up fractals. I'm not exactly sure what you mean by that, Lisa, but perhaps we can communicate
I mean,
after.
someone needs to offer a service so that we can pay them to set them up in our communities and make it really simple so we can just click on a button and order it. That's what I meant by that.
$12.99 pizza delivery.
Yeah, please. I know it was a bit much for a simple statement, but thank you for giving me the opportunity for my bounty request.
Okay.
Yes,
I can make a button, order vodka if you want, 3 liter and 3 kilo of popcorn if you want. Okay.
I can think of a few fractalies that are needed, and I know Dwayne's been doing some, and I think we need some more. I love it. Yeah. What do you want to do? Zoom live? Well, we're all not safest to do live right now.
Yeah, I agree. We should do it. The vodka button might come in handy another time, but I think that's got a different function. And then Lisa, so there's something that we're working on. I mean, right now anybody can do it. And it's a lot of a manual process. And if you want, I can help show you how the software that Vlad and James have built for the Eden Fractal work. Also, the Adania team is very knowledgeable about the Eden election software too. So right now it's a bit manual, but I'm happy to help if you want to talk about this later. And then also Vlad's been working on tools with Mathias and also Eric for making it much simpler for people too. So if you want to discuss
this.
I
want a button, right? I just want one button.
Yes.
Thank you for summarizing why I want one button.
Yes.
All that can be behind it. That's called great software and mass adoption opportunities. So love it. I'm glad you got it figured out.
I agree. We're working on it. It's not totally figured out yet, but we're working on making it more automatic. So hopefully in the coming weeks and months, we'll have that. In the meantime, if anybody wants any help with that stuff, feel free to reach out. And then, yeah, hopefully in the next soon, we'll have a simple button because that would be very helpful for many communities. Also, I'll just briefly respond to CAC. I appreciate that you want to participate and don't want to do it via text in some chat room. I agree. I think the more that we talk and play consensus games on video, it's better. So I'm looking forward to figuring this out. I'm sure by this time next year, we'll have way more video calls and fractals and we'll be in a way different position, but thank you everybody. CC's on fire. And then Patrick, we should do an interview with some people from Haifa. We also did a conversation with Joaquin from Haifa on the town hall, which I actually just released on the Eden Creators YouTube channel as well.
Good point. I want to ask you, Dan, have you released the Eden Town Hall where Joachim was doing a presentation of Haifa?
Yes, I have. So I didn't get the chance. I didn't get the chance to promote it, but I kind of just published it quietly. And I'm going to promote it hopefully the next day or two. I'll share it in the chat in case anybody wants to check it out. But there is a conversation we had. So Mo, you have your answer
November. That will come soon, in 1 year or in 1 week. 2 weeks.
It's available now. You can watch it, but I'll promote it more to the wider community. But it's there now.
Okay.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for all the great comments. This has been continuing for long, so I think we should probably wrap it up. But thanks, everybody. Really appreciate all the enthusiasm. And Patrick, you want to wrap us up with, I don't know, Go EOS or Go Eden or something?
Oh, I was coming for that. Okay. That's obvious. So, Patnova Joy. Okay, he's ready. Okay, so we will do, raise your hand where you are ready.
Ready.
And I will do the countdown. And at 3, 2, 1, 0, we will say in chorus, with all our heart, soul, and mind, very convinced, go Eden on EOS. Okay? So, 3, 2, 1, 0. Go Eden on EOS. You understand?
Okay. Yeah, yes, we understand. Thank you, Patrick. All right, that wraps it up, right? Unless you want to do one quick Go EOS, but I think we can wrap it up there. Thanks, everybody. so much for the great conversation and looking forward to all our
Yeah, baby,
collaborations.
that was a nice one. Yeah.
Okay, sounds great. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.